Hey guys, it's Brian again. This time I wanted to show you a game of my own that I played my junior year of high school. I was board one, we were playing another team, and I was playing white. I'm not going to say who my opponent was, just for confidentiality. The game went d4, which you can probably tell by now might be my favorite opening. He responded d5, c4, the Queen's Gambit, dxc, which is the Queen's Gambit accepted. I played e3, which is one of the main moves, and he plays g6, getting ready to fianchetto his dark squared bishop. I take back the pawn with tempo, developing my bishop. He puts his bishop on the long diagonal. Knight f3, bishop g4, and this is a mistake because after my next move, it's a little tactic. Pause your videos if you want. If you can see, you can spot it. Okay, I'm going to assume you did that. The move I played was bishop takes f7 check, because after the king takes back, I can play knight g5 check, and after the king moves again, I can regain my piece with queen x g4. It's often a good idea, I'm going to show you here quick, a common theme when the light squared bishop is placed on this a2 to g8 diagonal. Most of the time you're going to see black play his pawn to e6 if he hasn't already played it there, or played it to e5, just to negate all the bishop's tactics against f7, because f7 is the weakest square on the board, defended only by the king and no other piece at the start of the game. So that's something to be aware of. So just going back, knight f3, bishop g4, bishop takes f7, king takes, knight g5, king e8, and then queen takes g4 was how the game went. Knight f6, developing his piece and gaining tempo against my queen. Queen to f3, which hits g7 and keeps my queen active. I'm not sure if I would play this move today or not. I don't know. Queen d5, and I decided to exchange queens here because if my queen ventures back to d8 or something like that, my g7 pawn or my g2 pawn is hanging. So I decided to exchange queens. I'm still up a pawn. His king's pawn is isolated. He takes back. Here I play maybe a little dubious move, a move I probably would not play today. I played knight e6. I probably should have just developed another piece or castled, but I think my thinking at this time was I'm hitting his bishop and c7, which I don't know if I realized was defended with his knight. But even though it wasn't the best move I could have played, it worked out nonetheless. He played king f7, and I just took his bishop, and he took back. Bishop d2, developing my dark square bishop, and just stopping his knight from coming to any square like b4, where it might get annoying and start attacking c2. Knight c6, and here I played a3 just to really solidify that square, stop any annoying knights from jumping in. Rook h to e8, looking to push his e-pawn ahead. Knight c3, e6. I'm not sure if this was the correct choice. Maybe it was. He's defending his knight, but I guess what he really wants me to do is to take his knight, and then he can take back with his pawn and unisolate it and give an open file for his rook, which makes sense, but I'm not going for it. Rook c1, a6, stopping my knight from jumping and annoying him on b6. King e2. Now I could have castled, but the way I saw things, the game was heading for an endgame, and my king wasn't really in danger, so I figure I'd bring it to the center, just thinking ahead to the endgame, where the king is most powerful in the center. g5, now h4, starting to chip away at his pawns and trying to open up a file for my other rook. h6, and I decide to play h takes g, opening up the file for my rook, and after h takes g, rook h5, hitting the pawn, king g6, and then I double rooks on the h file. Knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, now e5, still trying to unisolate his pawn, d5, now an interesting move, knight d4 check, and it's interesting because if I take the knight with the pawn, then he takes back with a discovered check and wins my bishop, and gives his rook an open file. So I decided I didn't feel like trading my bishop for his knight and giving his rook an open file and unisolating his pawn, so I just went for king d3. Knight f5, now g4, hitting the knight and defending my rook in case of maybe something like knight h4, trapping my rook in, so it's defended, just in case. Knight d6. Now, rook h6 check. And I play this now because now his king can't come to f5 and still be active in the middle. Now now his king's being threatened, because after king g7 and rook h7, king f8, I can start chipping away his pawns with rook takes c7, e4 check, king c2. Note that if king c4, I'm sorry, that's not correct. Yeah, note if that's right. Note if king d4, then he has knight to b5, forking my king and rook. So we don't want that. So we play king c2, knight to f7, rook to h7, threatening his knight, and getting my rooks doubled on the 7th rank, which is usually lights out, and it's getting pretty close to lights out here. Rook e7 and a very powerful bishop b4, pinning it to the king. King g8, rook takes rook, king takes rook, king takes knight, and I'm up a piece. King g6, rook takes b7, a5, bishop c5, rook to c8. I'm not really worried about the pin against my king because my bishop's easily defended. b4, king f6. I'm kind of going through these fast because by now it's really a matter of technique. d6, a b, king e6, d7, rook d8, and now king c3. Just moved my king in because I don't really have to rush things. Rook takes, king takes, king d4, and as you can see, the pawns just start falling, and I'm queening. I don't really need the bishop. And now, my opponent chose not to resign, but let me mate him. And there's the game. Hope you enjoy it.